Hi, Dan.
Hi, Nick. How are you doing?
I'm good, mate. You?
I'm great, thanks. To be honest, I'm pretty excited as we're launching our Patreon over the next week.
Yes, what an absolute treat to start 2023 with. I'll tell you what, though, before we start, I'm parched. Do you have any drinks?
I don't. But our listeners could treat us to a dandelion and burdock every month to keep us hydrated for the podcast.
Sounds good, but what would they get out of it?
Well, for just £3 a month, they could get a full video episode with behind the scenes preamble and post show chat every week. And let me tell you, that's
Wow.
usually a real treat.
That sounds like a real treat. That sounds awesome. I'm well up for that, but I don't need to because I'm involved. I don't need to pay.
No, but they'd get that a day earlier than everybody else with release on a Tuesday.
Surely, in that case, they'd also get the podcast version a day earlier as well.
Absolutely.
I'm concerned now we've become sellouts and decide to have adverts featured on the podcast. People will come for us with pitchforks.
Well, in this tier, they'd get the episode ad-free.
Excellent. Surely they can't get anything else in this tier.
Not really. Only an extra wrap-up podcast at the end of each season where we watch interviews and performances from the era we've discussed, and one watch-along episode a month where we'll watch and discuss a classic gig, film, or anything Arctic Monkeys related.
What, like Glasgow 2013, Live at the Apollo, Scummy Man, or Submarine?
Yeah, exactly. And there's so many more. But I'm not done yet. We'll also be putting out special birthday party episodes on each band member and associated band members' birthdays. And do you know what's good about that?
What's good about that?
Alex's is the 6th of January.
Amazing. Sounds like that'd be a great date to launch the Patreon then, with an Alex Turner birthday party episode ready and waiting for our patrons.
As always, Nick, you read my mind.
It's an amazing tier. And again, you get all that for just £3 a month.
Yep.
I don't see what else the next tier could possibly offer on top of that.
Well, if you're now well hydrated and you fancy grabbing a pint with me, our listeners can treat us to one in our local, the Cornerstone.
I'll be there in 10 minutes.
For just £5 a month, our listeners can access our Cornerstone tier and get all the great features already referenced on the previous tier. Plus, and I'm excited about this,
I'm on tenterhooks here. Or rusty hooks, as it were.
Nice. Well, our Cornerstone patrons will also get a monthly Last Shadow Puppets podcast where we'll do a deep dive into a track from the beginning of the catalogue all the way to the end.
Amazing. B-sides and all.
B-sides and all.
Wow, that's just outstanding. So all the previous features and the Shadow Puppets pod. Incredible.
Well, also, each subscriber gets to pick any song from any band or artist that doesn't feature an Arctic Monkeys member in the act or production, and we'll put the songs into a prize draw once a month. So, for example, you might pick Thank You Next by Ariana Grande. The winning subscriber will get a podcast in our format on that song. They'll stay in the prize draw until they win, and we'll refresh annually.
This all sounds amazing. Well, apart from the Ariana Grande bit, but yeah, that's a me issue. So, we're launching on Alex's birthday?
Yes, on the 6th of January, come to our Linktree or socials to access Patreon, where you can choose your tier of choice. Once you've signed up, you'll immediately start seeing the benefits with the Alex Turner birthday party episode.
This is all very exciting.
Isn't it just?
Well, we hope you're all as excited as we are and can help support us throughout 2023 and beyond. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
We're Arctic Monkeys. This is Don't Believe the Hype.
That rock and roll, eh? Ladies! That sound means it's the end of the round. Time for the bonus question. Cheers, dude.
That man just yawned.
We're gonna call it
Don't Believe the Hype.
Hello, and yes, this is, of course, the by now familiar sound of Don't Believe the Hype, the weekly podcast that takes a deep dive into a track from Sheffield's finest. No, not Pulp, although it is pretty close, to be fair. No, this is the only podcast around that's dedicated to the band of a generation, Arctic Monkeys, with me, Nick Lee. And he wants to sleep in a city that never wakes up. It is, of course, Dan Holt. Hello, Dan. How are we?
I am great, thank you. And just to clarify, my worst nightmare is to live in a city that never wakes up for the rest of my life. That's a genuine fear. So no, I'm not an Andy. Oh, but a little bit of a hint of what we think that song's about.
Well, what that song is generally accepted to be about.
You never know. No, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. It's going to be an emotional one tonight, isn't it?
I can't believe it. Can't believe we got to the end of the album. I know we're not done with the era yet, but it's quite a landmark moment to be at the end of the first album since we only, we started this, in October.
See, that's it. When we like came up with the concept and stuff like that and started planning it, I just had it in my head that we'll get to talk about like one of my favorite songs every single week and it's going to be great. But I didn't think about like the emotional gut punch that'll come from like chatting about a song that means so much to us and is just the end of probably my favorite album ever. Horrible, isn't it?
Like the last episode of Friends all over again, isn't it?
Yeah, but better. And at the same time, I don't know how to feel.
I meant the emotional. I meant the emotional factor. Like no matter how something like Friends kind of maybe got a little bit, fingy towards the end, I was still remember bawling my eyes out in the last scene when they were leaving the flat apartment, going, "I can't live without them. Oh my god, I cope without another Friends." Yeah. And now it turns out I can just watch it every day on Netflix anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Well, if you have enjoyed this first run, this first run of episodes is nowhere near finished yet. We've got B-sides to cover and stuff before and wrap up episodes. But if you have enjoyed it, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, go on our profile and there's a link there. Go on the episode description and there's links there to all our stuff. And don't forget our Patreon is on there as well. The Patreon listeners have just had like an extra 20 minutes of chat before, and we've been talking about you a lot. So get on
half
there.
An hour, I think, nearly.
Yeah,
20 minutes.
It's either £3 or £5 a month. There's two different tiers there that will get you a lot of extra stuff, including our last Shadow Puppets podcast that we just had a bit of a natter about. So get on there. Don't forget, like, follow, rate, subscribe, review us. It all helps. It all helps massively. And you can also get in touch, arcticmonkeyspodcast@gmail.com.
And if nothing else, just to tease people, in the pre-show chat then, there was a moment when Nick stood up and revealed his crotch. So, ladies, form an orderly queue. Ladies!
Yeah. Ladies! I wish I had that clip now. Oh,
this one's for your boyfriend. Put it in post. I'll put it in post.
Put it in post. Can I put it in post? I could. I
think I've got it because we've got the intro, haven't we?
Yeah, it's in the intro. Yeah, I thought I had it somewhere, but I don't. But anyway, put it in post. That'll be fun for everyone. Although now we've discussed it.
Well, I'll edit out this bit where we're talking about it in person. Wheels have been wheels.
We've teased it long enough. What are we going to be chatting about tonight, pal?
Working class classic. Certain Romance is on tonight's agenda, and it's listened to it this week. It's been emotional. It has been. There's no other way to say it. More so, like the others have been like interesting and nostalgic and funny and stuff, and then this one just like hits you like a ton of Brits. It's very different, as we'll discuss. It's very different to the other tracks, so very excited to dig into the meat of this one.
Are you getting emotional? Do you want some emotional music?
I don't think so yet, but I think in a bit definitely there'll be time for
I've got some emotional music ready for you. So
I think we wait. I don't think I'm quite. You wait until I'm actually. I think that should be for what you would call an emotional monologue is what that should be saved for, which we'll definitely have at some point in this, I'd imagine. Wouldn't you?
Okay.
I mean, you can put the bit to play it, so you can play it if you want.
Well, we'll leave it.
You just told a 10-year-old that he's not going to Mackey's. Do you know what I mean? Like you just. So if you want.
I'm already getting no. We'll save it, and instead we will play a clip of A Certain Romance.
There's a truth that they can't see. I'm sure they'd like to throw a punch at me, and if you could only see him, then you would agree that there is no romance around there, you know. Oh, it's a funny thing, We'll tell them if you like, we'll tell them all tonight, they'll never listen, because their minds are made up of what's in store, okay, to carry on that way. There's over there, there's broken bones, there's only music, so that there's new ringtones, and it dickhead, don't you know?
Funny thing, you know, we'll tell them what. I'm getting emotional already.
I'm
Interesting
going
clip.
already.
Interesting choice. And
Yeah, that was Tea in the Park 2006. That was.
I love a. I always think Alex's hair. That's when they'd done the American tour. You can pinpoint like they got back from their American tour when Alex's hair was like long and he was always wearing a vest. But he's not on that one obviously. But there's a little shot there of Jamie's trainer on a pedal, and I love a shot of a trainer on a pedal or of a shoe on a pedal, a foot on a pedal. Yeah, I just love it. There's something like intrinsically like what's that? I can't think of the word, but where something just like people that like ASMR. And stuff like that. I see it on the train. Satisfying. There's something very satisfying about seeing an effect change on a pedal. I find myself. But ironically, one of my biggest fears when we were in the band was the point when I'd have to hit the pedal to change something because I already was like, right, I've got to remember to sing, got to remember to play the guitar to an extent. Then I've got to also remember to hit the pedal at the right time and continue doing those things. And it was kind of like in my head was like, don't compute. So,
I noticed last week when we did From the Ritz to the Rubble, and the clip we chose was from Live at the Apollo, and I didn't realise just how often Alex has to do that during the chorusy bit.
It becomes even more of a skill the longer in a band you are, because you tend to have loads of pedals because you have to have different effects from previous sounds that you had in the past. So you're having to you got a lot. If you see, they've always got shitloads. I always love it as well at a gig when there's something wrong with one of them, and a technician or roadie has to run on the stage, like throw himself on the floor and fix it while the band are playing the song. I'm always like, so exciting. The Jeopardy.
Anything could happen.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, tense. But let's get into it. I'm excited.
Right, that takes us to the portion of the show we like to call
Alex's voice
ratio.
Tranquility voice. Did anyone else notice that? He had his pseudo-American voice, and then when Tranquility came out, he suddenly had Parky's voice. You were very like, well, we did that song because we went to the
that song now.
Yeah. Steve, you get me like Peter Kay, Steve. What's that? It's that line from The Trip where Bob Geldof, where Rob Fingy's doing Parky and he's winding him up. I can't remember what it is, and he's like, I was in Tropic Thunder. He was like, you died in the first 10 minutes, Steve. Anyway, I did my Alex voice. Yeah, very gruff.
Let's get to the information action, mate. Oh god, I'm getting emotional already. Oh, let me just wash it down with some cider. As I did when this song came out. I've got a nice little mixed fruit Copperberg. Yeah,
you said the weekend was starting after this pod, right?
Because I've got the blurred background.
It looks like you've.
It looks like we're not allowed to
blurred the
talk
logo.
about it. Other ciders are available, but they're probably not as nice. Right,
probably not.
I'll try again. The information action ratio.
The information action ratio is the place to go.
A Certain Romance is the 13th and sadly final track on Whatever People Say, and That's What I'm Not. The song is 5 minutes and 31 seconds long, making it not only the longest song on the album, but the longest song we've covered so far, and has 107.7 million streams on Spotify. The track is 138 beats per minute and is, like the previous two, in the key of B.
Wrong key, though.
Other key tracks in B are your mum's favourite Knickersocker, Michael Bublé with Lost, Beyonce, Kelly, and the other one with Survivor, and a bullshit religious chastity story made up by an excellent marketing agency. Yes, it's siblings, the Jonas Brothers, with Live to Party. The song has been played live 260 times, only beating Ritz last week by one play. Firstly, at the Boardwalk Sheffield on November 3rd, 2004, and lastly, at the Fly DSA Arena in Sheffield on September 22nd, 2018. And I'd like to play a little clip from that last outing.
Don't get me wrong, though, there's boys in bands. You're too light to find cool music. And just 'cause he's had a couple of cans, he thinks it's alright to act like a dickhead, don't you know? Oh, Oh, it's a funny thing, you know. We'll tell them if you like. We'll tell them all tonight. They'll never listen. Because their minds are made up. And of course it's all okay to carry on that way. But I said no. Oh no. Well, you won't get me to go. Not anywhere. Not anywhere. I suppose I don't care.
What I love, if you're watching on the video, is that if you're not, I'll explain. But he's got his wire like tangled around the keyboard, and he can't get it out. And there's a point when he just gives up and just frustrated. He puts his arm up. I was thinking, like, where are the roadies? I just said about the roadie running on the stage. You go, where are they? That's a key moment where you need to run.
We need some jeopardy.
Don't mean to be mean in the current climate, but I hope somebody lost the job. That's all I'm saying. But for that. But I love that little drum thing sound that they use it now as well, don't they? For some, I feel like they use it in 4 out of 5 at the minute. Like alongside that, don't they? Yeah. Well, it's bizarre, but yeah. And then I think he's frustratedly even changes the lyric there to I don't even care, because he's just annoyed about the wire. Yeah. But yes, back to the information on Certain Romance. The song was recorded in one take as Alex wanted to get the right feels to the track, which describes how things don't have as much meaning as they once did. If you recall, Mardy Bum was used in a show called The A Word, and A Certain Romance is also featured in season 1, episode 2, but unfortunately I couldn't get a clip for this one. However, I would like this. There wasn't as much information as I thought there would be on this track out there, but that's probably good because we want to dig into the meat and carcass of it anyway. Like a couple of feral dogs, which we've been called before in our youth, I believe. But but before we switch into a very special bonus round that I've prepared, a quick bonus round, I just want to play a clip from the gig at Finsbury Park where they played A Certain Romance as well, just to sign off the last information action ratio of this album. If anyone's getting emotional at that, they're getting emotional. No,
hold it. I can hold it.
Dry eyes all around for the audience, probably.
Don't get me wrong, no, there's boys in bands, kids who like to fight with cool cues in their hands. Baby, I've had a couple of cans, and I think it's alright to act like a dickhead, don't you know? Oh, it's a funny thing, you know. We'll tell them if you like. We'll tell them all tonight. They'll never listen, because their minds are made up. And of course it's all okay to carry on that way. But I said no. Oh no. Well, you won't get me to go. Not anywhere. Not anywhere. No, I don't care.
I chose to play that because it's, and I know it's the same bit he sang in the last clip, but it's the sort about the way he sings that. It's very much his AM persona to change it to baby, like throw a baby in there, isn't it? But but also one thing of note on that, because I nearly went to those gigs. I was planning, but I forgot. I think at the time because it was in London, and I was like, you know, don't feel like the crowd were really singing along to what was a great solo acoustic moment there after, because they hadn't played Certain Romance for a few years at that point. So I don't feel it was very loud. So I'm a bit disappointed in the Southerners. I think if that had been up north, it would have been absolutely going off during that.
Yeah, it'd have been drowned out.
I was a bit annoyed that they even did a big gig down south, to be honest. But what can I say? I've let it go. I haven't. Let's move into a very quick bonus round.
That sound means it's the end of the round. Time for the bonus question.
Okay, so as this is the longest song on the album, I thought I'd ask you, Nick, if you could tell me what the longest Arctic Monkeys song is. I know cheating. I see you heading towards your mouse there. Or your phone, either. There is an exam. What are they called? Those dudes that stand in exams behind the door. So yeah, if you need a wee, he's going to go with you. But he's not a nonce.
I think I know. I think it's Now, what does this come in at?
Do you want me to say this comes in? Oh, this comes in at 5 minutes and 31 seconds long. Do you want me to tell you the length of the track to give you a little indicator? The length of the longest track it is 5 minutes and 54 seconds. So creeping on 6 minutes. Now,
I think it's Jeweler's
really
Hands.
just give you the era, but Jeweler's Hands was up there, and I thought might have potentially been the one, but something else pipped it, I'm afraid.
Go on, give me the era then.
Tranquility Base Hotel and Casino. Mark speaking. How may I direct your call?
It's not. It's not. Bat Phone's pretty long, isn't it?
You tell me, Nick. You tell me.
Well, is it Bat Phone? Oh, right,
I'll give you one more punt, and then I'll give you the answer.
I mean, it's not. She Looks Like Fun because that's famously very short. So,
Yeah. No need to show you working out on the page. It's fine.
It's not 4 out of 5. So I'm going science fiction.
No, the longest Arctic Monkeys song to date, which is 2022, no, 2023, January 12th. Just in case in the future people are listening and they think I'm wrong, got to date stamp it. Although the recording will be date stamped, so pointless. Yeah. I'm just trying to build tension. No, I'm not. I'm just chit chatting. The longest Arctic Monkeys song at 5 minutes 54 seconds is Star Treatment.
Star Treatment, in it, yeah.
Which surprised me actually, but I guess it is quite a long song, isn't it? Which is why probably it was so jarring. The first time I heard it, and it was quite jarring. It probably was because it was so long as well. Just because it was like, oh, this is an odd song, and it's very long. But yeah, Star Treatment is the longest song, but there were a couple creeping up there. I did think Jeweler's Hands were going to get it at one point, but no, Star Treatment came out of nowhere and took it off.
I think 4 out of 5 is about 5:20 or something. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Much like I think actually when I was looking through it, what I did notice was that the car is probably like in length, like the shortest since the first album. I'm not saying that's like 100% true. I'm not saying that's 100% true. I just noted on my research that it looked like quite short songs as well as the first one, which is obviously very, very, very short songs. But yeah, apart from today's. So should we move into the reviews now? No, you fucked that up.
Let's do that. Oh God!
Wrong again.
My emotional state.
We have got another bonus round in a bit, so you'll have a chance to redeem yourself. But it is slightly hard bonus round actually. So
I think there's no amount of bonus rounds that could help me redeem myself.
You might know it. You might know it actually, because you're a Reddit guy. You might know it because I got the answer off Reddit. So
you almost made that sound like an insult. Thanks.
Reddit guy does imply masturbates alone in his mum's basement, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, sorry. You're better than that. You masturbate in groups.
I'm really not.
So, onto the reviews. Musical Chairs Daily said, I never get tired of this song. The frantic drum beat and rapid-fire guitar chords in the intro amp me up every time, and I love the way the song devolves into a bouncy ska-influenced hook. That's not even to mention Alex Turner's voice, who sings with a sense of bittersweet frustration that perfectly reflects what's going on in the lyrics. A Certain Romance is ultimately a lovely but reluctant ode to questionable roots, one that should speak to anyone going through a transitional period in their life. You can't forget where you came from, but this song proves that sometimes that's not such a bad thing after all. Our friend, if you recall from last week, Steve from the Deaf, he said, I'm a sucker for a well-placed rhyming couplet and a kitchen sink drama lyrical subject. This is the 21st century's Up the Junction. That winsome bit of Dr. John Cooper Clarke reads A Taste of Honey to the Mandems, comes after a pummeling metallic overture and accompanied by a genteel indie jangle. The early Arctics was all clever wordplay and post-Smith's jangle pop. Much was written of the East Coast hip-hop via from lyrical stylings and our-do attitude of indie scrappy-do frontman Alex Turner. I think you and Steve from the Deaf would get on, Nick. I think you'd have a cracking good pint together.
As soon as he said up the junction, I was like, best thing Holland's ever done that.
In Enemy's list, what about the Hootenanny? In Enemy's list of the top 100 tracks of the decade, A Certain Romance was ranked at number 10 and described as a strangely even-handed song which starts out scorning local townies, then appears to absolve them at the end of the song. A Certain Romance was ranked at number 90 in Pitchfork Media's top 100 tracks of 2006 and cited as the standout track. The song even has a famous fan, with Youngblood stating, Alex Turner literally said what I was thinking, and I never even met him. A certain romance spoke to me, and I was on a BMX at Campsall Fish and Chip Shop in my Adidas jacket and pissing down rain. Sorry, I couldn't resist. I'll start again. A certain romance spoke to me. I was on a BMX at Campsall Fish and Chip Shop in my Adidas jacket in the pissing down rain, listening to the Arctic Monkeys, thinking, oh my God, they got out. I could too, he explained. Even then, their music was about inclusion and reality. From the Rich to the Rubble was legitimately about a night out in the north of England, and they took it global. Alex himself has reflected on this track, talking to Enemy around the Cars release. He likened the emotional depth of the album to the 2-minute breakdown and solo in this tracks, stating, I remember when we were recording A Certain Romance and having a conversation with the producer about the final guitar solo, he said. Asked if he was still proud of the song, Turner replied, yeah. If anything, for the fact that A Certain Romance showed that we did actually have these ambitions beyond what we once thought we were capable of. Back then, we would struggle with the idea of adding anything more to the songs. But here, there's some guitar that goes high and then comes back in. When we recorded it, we were all like, whoa, whoa, whoa. How do you like it? How do you like it? No, he didn't say that. He said, whoa, whoa, whoa. What have we done here? Pushing the music that far out from what we'd done before initially felt contentious, to say the least. In September, Alexis Petridis, as in September just gone, Alexis Petridis put A Certain Romance at number 1 in a list of the best Arctic's tunes, as did our social media followers, saying in The Guardian, the fact that Turner was still in his teens when he wrote A Certain Romance is evidence of a preternatural lyrical gift. No song skewered the early 2000s demonization of chavs quite so effectively. It's also a brilliantly constructed piece of writing that in tone suddenly executes a 180-degree turn in its final verse. Whatever you think he's saying, that's what he's not. But it's also something that perhaps only a teenager could have written. He isn't pronouncing on a social phenomenon from a distance, just talking about kids he knows from school. Meanwhile, the music behind him ebbs and surges powerfully en route to its roaring instrumental climax. I like Alex Petridis. The more reviews we read of his Arctic Monkeys related, let's try and get him on. Probably wouldn't do it for free, would he? Maybe not. Maybe the Patreon we can pay him.
He's on the Guardian gravy train.
If you want to see him on the Patreon, get signing up.
Yeah.
It'll probably cost a year's fucking amount to get him on. Stephen Edelstone of Paste magazine wrote, taken completely out of context, that man just yawned is a peculiar, if not completely random, 4-word phrase to have made a seismic impact on my life. On its face, I guess it's just a normal sentence. I mean, we all yawn, after all, and it is contagious, so they say. But when Alex Turner exclaimed, that man just yawned on Saturday Night Live just before blowing up A Certain Romance for its thrilling conclusion, a 15-year-old me was spellbound. Here you had 4 British dudes, not particularly stylish, but also not stylish, playing the hell out of, at that point in my life, and maybe still, the best song I'd ever heard. They taunted the audience. Jamie Cook destroyed his guitar. They left the stage right in front of the camera laughing as they did so. But they also had acne. They kind of looked like people I knew. And off the back of that, I'd like to play a little clip of that.
So not in the same way. That man just yawned.
Great clip. Well, a couple of things to note in that is that, like, if you're watching it on the video, or if you're not, if you haven't signed up to Patreon, but stop going on about it now. But if you're not, then go watch it, because it's really hard to get the full clip of that. It's like impossible to find the full recording of that. I can't find it anywhere.
Theory about this, which we'll get into in a minute. Crack on.
Okay, great. But what I do love about that are a couple of things. One is, as I'll get into in the clip, and Helder's in this song, but on that clip, he is fucking going for it, man. He looks amazing on the drums. He's captivating on those drums in that clip, like, as always, but just for some reason, he looks even more captivating than usual, like really going for it. And as this is the last track that Andy, album track that we get to cover with Andy Nicholson on, it's nice that if you look just before Alex, because Alex goes over and kind of, he's pushing up against him and he's laughing, which is a nice moment. But just before that, if you look, he's kind of in awe looking at Helders with a look on his face. It's like, fucking hell, he looks great. He's really going for it. I think, what a nice. And apparently, because I haven't ever seen the full one, but the way he describes that guy is that they just destroyed the guitar, left the stage laughing. Like, they obviously were in an odd mood, potentially because of something that maybe happened to them backstage or something like that. I don't know. But I assume you have a theory on this, so let's get into it.
So, yeah, Saturday Night Live, institution. Like, I'd say it's got a bit of a cult following here in the UK as well, because we don't have anything like that. over
I
here.
enjoy the clips. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
The-
they did
the-
try and make
yeah.
like a British version, and it just fell flat. So
Friday Night Live.
Lord Michaels, the producer, is like, I mean, he's a genius. Like the amount of people who've got their big break from that show and stuff.
Oh yeah,
is
it's a cyclical show, I'd say.
phenomenal.
Sometimes it's got an amazing set of people on it, and you want to watch it every week. And sometimes, like potentially at the moment, it's not got as strong a cast, so it's not as interesting. But when it were like Bill Hader and Amy Poehler and everyone like that at the same time, it's very exciting.
There's
But
all these
yeah,
people who started out there and have gone on to like. I think BJ Novak, obviously, most of the people involved in like writing The Office and Parks and Rec and everything,
Yeah.
they all
that's
started
where you
out
get your
as,
break.
like,
Yeah,
writing
90.
assistants.
Well, I'll say 90%, but most comedy people in America started out on SNL, didn't they?
Yeah.
You know, Californians being one of my favorite clips.
Yeah. So from what I can gather, Lorne Michaels, the producer, very much likes things being done his way. Now, this young group of cheeky teenagers from England came on, called out someone in the audience and looked very angry about it, and then smashed up the equipment and the stage, and then walked off in front of the camera, like laughing and giggling. They've not been on that show since. They performed
No.
Dance Floor and A Certain Romance on that show. I think they've been blacklisted from that show. They've done pretty much every other show in America, but they've never been on that again, which is, for one of the biggest bands in the world, is a bit mad.
Yeah, I mean, it's is it like they seem peeved? I'd say just the person, because the crowd obviously weren't looking like they were enjoying it, but I imagine you go into a TV recording, you kind of half expect that maybe. But is it a case of, do you think, I get the impression something was annoyed them before they were even on stage, like something happened that irked them, maybe the cast weren't. I mean, what year were that? I'd be interested to know who the cast were. I just see the full episode, because were they on any of the sketches? Because sometimes they have the acts in the sketches, don't they? I don't know about
I don't think they were.
No,
I definitely have seen that. The version.
Yeah, we
of
would have
Dance
seen that
Floor,
actually, wouldn't we? Definitely, yeah.
The version of Dance Floor is there. That's on YouTube. But it's not the official version that's there. But A Certain Romance isn't anywhere. So I think they've just totally blacklisted it, and you can't see it anywhere because of what they're up to and stuff.
Because people ask for it, but no one can get it, can they? So you're probably right. I've got wiped. It is very interesting. In fact, our American listeners, please, if you've been a listener, if you've been a fan of Arctic Monkey since the very early days, please let us know if you watched that live and could tell us anything about what happened or give us some information. I assume you probably would have already posted it online and we might have found it, but if not, then please get in touch, because I am intrigued by that. It's clearly been wiped, but I just get the impression it weren't just they weren't irked by like the fact the crowd weren't very exciting. Because if I were on SNL, I'd be really buzzing, like if on it, because it's a cool show to be on. But I wonder if like the cast treated them like shit or something happened. You know what I mean? Like they were just already in a mood before they set on stage.
I mean, we can't research it now because the full performance isn't there. But was there some issue around the censorship of the word "dickhead"?
I doubt they'd be bothered by that, because they've done that before, right? They've changed it before, haven't they?
Well, when they did She Looks Like Fun on James Corden's show, they changed. They still said knobhead in She Looks Like Fun.
I mean, that's on quite late, though,
But
isn't it? Is SNL before?
the limit is there ain't no limit to the length of a dickhead we can be. But they change it to knobhead. So is knobhead acceptable? Maybe they were
Probably
asked
in
to say
America.
knobhead on SNL and they said, no, we're saying dickhead because that's our lyric. Don't know. If anyone
Maybe.
knows, because it's very hard to find.
If anyone close to the band as well knows, that would be very helpful to find out. But,
I mean, I can find threads on the Arctic Monkeys subreddit here with people saying,
it's just people theorising.
Never featured on it again, despite being back in New York multiple times since 2006.
Alex lived in New York.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So,
They've been on Letterman loads. They've been on other stuff, and it's just, I don't know. There's a few,
especially during
people
AM. You know, you get booked on there during AM. So the funny thing is, unlike some, because a lot of people will have seen that and seen them misbehaving. Apparently, according to this, Jamie destroyed his guitar and all that. Didn't seem to make them, because some English bands fuck it up, go over there and fuck it up, and they don't get to go back. You don't get a second shot, but they didn't seem to ruin they slowly built their career still. So in the States, so I think maybe the kind of audience that would like Arctic Monkeys at that time, the young people would have found that, like this guy did, quite tantalizing to see them just being a bit rock and roll, I guess.
Would you like to know who else was on that episode?
I would like to know, yes.
So
was
it
the
was
host?
hosted. The host was Matt Dillon.
He's kind of cool, I guess.
Yeah, and
2 films I've seen him.
Well, yeah, that's it.
Is he in There's Something About Mary? Is he that? Yeah.
I think he is. Yeah. It also starred Fred Armisen, Rachel Dratch, Tina Fey, and Will Forte. So quite a good.
Will Forte. Well, I can't.
Is it Forte or is it Forte?
It's Will Forte, yeah.
Ugh, pretentious.
I think, well, it's Canadian, isn't it? So it's like French Canadian, isn't it?
Is it Canadian? I did not know that.
Well, I just made that up, but it sounded plausible, didn't it? And probably is. It'd be impressive if he is now. But they sometimes are. Like Will Arnett, for example. Will Arnett's Canadian. Ryan Reynolds, all that. But yeah, I'd be interested to know. But that group of people don't strike me as a cast that would piss them off. So Fred Armisen's lovely. Well, I don't know him, but from what I've seen.
Mate.
Will Forte's lovely.
Mate, we'll discuss Fred Armisen after the show's finished because
don't ruin Fred Armisen for me. I don't want to.
I don't want to get opened up to anything. Put the stuff out there.
I don't want to hear your internet lies. Anyway, but before we move into the music, I did want to just read one final review that I thought was interesting from Tyler Godson of Far Out Magazine, who said, with mentions to the chav subculture that favours Reebok's drunken brawls and aggressive dickish behaviour, couldn't say that on SNL, a certain romance helps colours the entirety of whatever people say, and with more nuance and dichotomy, it will be all too simple, especially as someone who doesn't know a thing about young life in Northern England, to romanticise the excitement and openness of Turner's tales, especially when they're souped up with explosive indie rock instrumentation. But a certain romance is about a feeling that is purposefully saved for the very end of the album. Exhaustion. As the pull cues and ringtones start to run together into a redundant cycle, the lack of warmth and beauty and true connection starts to eat away at you. At only 19 years old, Turner was able to articulate how being a young barfly always looking to fight or fuck isn't a sustainable lifestyle. It will eventually necessitate a change, of course. Turner was already feeling those desires before he was even in his 20s. A certain romance does end in some form of reconciliation, and the ragged final chord that rings out as the band closes the door on another night out practically begs you to return to the beginning all over again. You too can experience all the lust and glory that comes with being young and horny and on top of the world, but by the end of the night, you'll still feel lonely and empty. Now, although I agree with the bit when he says about pull cues and ringtones run together, redundant cycle, like that's kind of in the song. I've never thought of the song as being about looking to fight or fuck, and if that's sustainable as you get older, or about and I don't even know I think this is trying to fit it into the narrative of this being a concept album, which we've discussed before. Yeah. I think that idea. I don't think this song in any way is about how a night out you it starts to get a bit dull, but then you might just do it all again, and when you look back, it was fun. I don't think that's what the song's even a little bit about. Even as a subtext, I don't think there is a subtext really, but I don't think Alex was at his subtext stage yet. But no, I don't at all. But yeah, I thought that was an odd assessment because that's not in the lyrics, and again, it's not a subtext song, so it was an odd, strange interpretation. And also it being about exhaustion as well of stuff. It's like this song doesn't make me feel exhausted; it makes me feel uplifted, if anything, and emotional.
It makes me want to go.
Makes me want to shout. But okay, as we move into our chat of the music, because this is exciting now, we're there. I do just want to do another bonus round, and it is important that we do it at the start of this music chat.
That sound means it's the end of the round. Time for the bonus question.
Who do you think says, "Shall I keep rolling?" at the beginning of this track? I'll do an impression. Shall I keep rolling?
I think it's one of the production crew.
One of the production crew that
most likely.
We've discussed all the production crew so far. So it's nice that I didn't think of this, but it's a nice way because we have discussed all the production crew as we've got along, and it's nice that this song starts with one of them speaking because it kind of means it looks like it was all leading somewhere, but it wasn't.
Is it Barney? Please let it be Barney.
Unfortunately, it's not. The fear, and this isn't 100%, by the way. This isn't like the band have said who it is or anyone said who it is, but the fearing, I think it's a strong one, is that this is our old pal, the recording engineer, Ewan Davies, that we discussed a few times.
Right.
Because if you listen carefully, he sounds Welsh.
Welsh.
And obviously his name is Ewan Davies. So, put to he very much, when you listen again,
isn't it?
yeah, when you listen back with that knowledge, you go, oh yeah, because he just goes, should we keep rolling? I think in the past I thought it was a slightly foreign accent, but then when I knew it were Welsh, my ear was like, oh yeah, it is a bit Welsh.
Yeah.
So shall I keep rolling? Apparently, all the people that have done their research online have said that it's Ewan Davies, a recording engineer. So it's almost like every week we mentioned him just to get to this point. It was all part of the plan.
It all comes together.
But it wasn't. Was interested in these. Was interested in the interview with Alex there about this all being done in one take, and I think that's interesting because you don't know. I mean, a lot of this album was obviously, but you don't always think about that when you listen to it. But obviously, shall I keep rolling, and then they just go again. So what you hear, it's kind of cool when you think about what you hear when he says "shall I keep rolling," is then help them all just cracking back on with the song and just doing this perfect. And this was the take that they chose. I find that kind of stuff really exciting and interesting to think that were just because normally when you hear an album, it's pieces and put together and crafted. But when you hear a live album, it's like, oh wow, they just recorded that in one hit. That's really cool.
It was the same with the first Libertines album. That was because obviously it's produced by Mick Jones from the Clash, and that's how the Clash did most of their stuff. It was just one take, all in the studio together, and it really shows. I think you get that energy that you can't. I mean, if you kind of go back to some of the Oasis albums, it does feel very pieced together at times and stuff. That's what you get when bands can't be in the same room together, isn't it?
Yeah, I think. Well, yeah, I think it's. They say that about live albums, don't they? Like that we record it live, like not live albums, but albums where they recorded it live. It's particularly for fast bands, like it does capture that energy. And it's interesting if you think back to the fourth podcast we did, the Dance Floor episode, when we said that when they recorded Dance Floor live, it was so fast that it didn't work on the recording because it were at I think this is like 200 miles an hour. It was ridiculously fast and it didn't work as a song. So they had to kind of pace themselves down in the recording, which is, again, interesting. So you have to kind of change it perhaps than you would at a gig because it can be too to listen to, jarring. But I think, listen to this. It's so cool.
You don't have to do everything at 200 miles an hour. Looking at you, Ramones.
Well, I'm looking at thinking about, when we recorded in our band, and it's interesting because it is an exciting day to go and do that, isn't it? But it's it's one of those things. But do you remember the guy? I can't remember his name though. Dave was it at Moulin Rouge with his little beanie hat?
No, we didn't go to Moulin Rouge. We went to the other place in Stockport.
Oh, we went to LP.
The rehearsal place,
studios. The bastards that stole mine. In the Tesco. Yeah, and it's to think because obviously we recorded and we sounded shite because we were shite, but to think that in a good recording studio with a good band and a good song, that a song in one take could sound like this song sounds is amazing. Because you would think, listen to the solo, that's something that's maybe been put together because of all the intricacies of it. But yeah, I just find all that stuff fascinating. So Nick, we've been listening to this song this week in preparation for this, and I forgot how good it is. I'm glad it won our World Cup. As much as I've always loved it, obviously it's never going away, but just listen to it, I'm like, wow, this song is best last track they've ever done. I'm going to say it. I decided this week, best last track of an album they've ever done.
Thank you.
And I know that, don't come for me, the 505 lot, please. but I love that too.
The 505 lot have had their chance, mate.
It went viral on TikTok though, so you got the TikTok people coming at me as well.
Well.
It's a lot of people. But maybe I'll change my mind. I've reserved the right to change my mind when we get to 505. But for me, this is just a phenomenal. It's perfection. It's just yeah.
It's just spot on, isn't it? Just as not just as a track, but as this is where it's going to get emotional now. As a snapshot,
well, because of the time. Well, because of the time in between, and you've got tranquility in the car, and sometimes you can look back at this. I find myself sometimes looking back at this era as you can be maybe perhaps a little bit snobby about it or whatever musically, but with this one, I do think it has made me think this week this could contend. You could put up a strong argument for this being the best song they've ever done, and people will go, "Don't be ridiculous! Look at the kind of stuff they're doing," and it's and look at AMs, but it's yeah, but just for this, and even Alex said then it surprised them that when they made it in a way. So it's clear it's the most accomplished song on the album, this album, for sure, as a song. Best song on the album as well. I'm just going to say it. I know in the wrap up we're going to go for our best songs, but I'm just going to say it now as well. This one will be number one. There's no way around it. I can't.
That's saved us episode.
No, because we got to go put them all in order, all 13 in order, which is a scary thought. But this one will be number one. It's got to be. I can't not. It's perfect. I'll let you save whether yours is going to be, because I think when we do that format, we should do it like where I'll say mine and you say yours and you say yours and you say yours, and just sort of see how we compare. This song as well, like memories of it. I remember actually like being in 42nd Street, which we referenced a few times. It's a nightclub in Manchester, an indie nightclub, and it's one of the last surviving ones, really, because they sort of fall in like, well, ones fell, to be fair. No, there's probably ones that I don't even know, to be fair. But I remember once our friend Ash, who we referenced before, there's 2 bars there, isn't there? There's one near the entrance and there's one at the back. And I remember just one night we were like, you do that thing, I went to the toilet and I went to that bar, and then he went to the other bar to get served quicker, and it was like, okay, I'll see you in a minute. So we go there, I'm at the bar waiting, and I just hear the drums for A Certain Romance come on, and I'm like, oh my fucking God, fuck the drink. I don't care about the drink. I've got to be on that dance floor. This song never gets played. This is fucking mental and amazing and the best moment of my life to this date, right? To this point, it was all leading up to this. So I turn, and I didn't even do drugs back then. I turn and I ran. I ran to the, wherever, if anyone's listening. I ran to the dance floor, and I thought, oh my God, I got to find Ash there. I've got to find him now. But he'd obviously had the exact same reaction that I'd had at the other bar. So in the middle of the dance floor, like a film, we just bumped into each other in the middle. And the second one, and we just started hugging each other and jumping up and down, and then started singing it when it came in. It was such a magical moment. It couldn't have like if you were filming it, it would have been like just like somewhere in a movie, but it was just such a moment. And then I remember even at Don Valley, because they hadn't played it for a few years, if you remember, in the Humbug era and stuff, it had gone. And I remember we were there at the tent, and we'd kind of this guy had not latched onto us, but he was in the crowd on his own, and we just got chatting, and he loved Arctic Monkeys as much as we did. So as everyone obviously did there, but like a super fan like us, Yes. But and we were going like, oh yeah, and it was kind of one of those things where at that time you'd be like, I like Humbug. You go, I like Humbug too. And you go, we like Humbug. Of course we should like Humbug. Like fuck everyone else. But I remember it got to a point in the set where they literally played every song that was possible, because they really did play all the songs at Don Valley. And I remember it was like they were like, one more, and I looked at this guy that I'd only just met like half an hour before, and I was like, it's gonna be it, isn't it? There's no other songs left. And he sort of thought for a minute, and he went, yeah, it's going to be it, isn't it? I was like, it can't be. He was like, it isn't. I was like, oh my God, but there's no other songs left. And then all of a sudden the drums started, and we were like, oh my God. It's just this song's one of those magical ones, isn't it? And it would be the same in June. If we went in June, probably not going to happen. I mean, not us going, we are going, obviously. But if we go in June, we're definitely going. And we're definitely going together. And if the drums for Certain Romance started, it would be like, fucking hell, this is the best thing ever.
I'd just die. That
yeah. It is one of those magical moments that like it's kind of like that. You don't euphoric feeling of being on drugs, but you don't need it in those magical moments. Like you get that natural euphoria, don't you, or something like that, which makes it even more special. But yeah, what a song. But yeah, anyway, I was just getting it off my chest with all the magical moments I've had with it, and then now I want this live more than anything.
Yeah, thank you. You're coming on to my way of thinking finally. I was in a taxi at the weekend, and the taxi driver had Radio X
Black cab
on. No, Uber.
Oh yeah, you don't know it's Black cab these days, fortunately.
No, God, yeah. Well,
Red
the horror
light
stories from red light indicate stores are secured. So horror stories.
What are you gonna say for fake taxi then?
Oh God, I think things aren't that desperate yet. So yeah, the driver had Radio X on, which is quite niche for a taxi driver to have Radio X. But this came. I always love how Radio X they must have had a meeting one day and decided that like music stopped in 2008. Because they don't play anything from like.
I know. It is. Yeah.
Came on in the taxi. This came on Radio X, and I was like, wow. Wow.
Sorry, I was struggling to get over you well placed yet. Then at the end of that, I'm still getting over it. But I love a well placed yet. But that could be a good name for my memoirs. A well placed yet. Yeah, it is like that, and that's why whenever I see on like you go on Radiate's comments when they post a story about Arctic Monkeys, and it's always like, "Oh, going on about Arctic Monkeys for a change," and stuff like that. Innit? Like, especially since now like the masses hate them and whatever. But they're not listening to this. Fuck them.
Yeah.
But back to the track, because we haven't even really scratched the surface, but I knew it'd be like this because it is one of those songs, isn't it? On the bass, last album song for Andy. So another emotional moment. We waxed lyrical last week about Andy, obviously, and we were kind of debating about whether we were going to get pipped. So where do you land on this? Better? Same? Ritz still picked it?
See, I don't know because I'm letting my emotions about the song into it. That's the problem.
I would say I think Ritz pips it.
Yeah,
because this song is a sum of all its parts. Everything is amazing in the song, and nobody really steals the show in it because there's so many moments where everything steals it. Whereas last week, although Alex's lyrics stole the show, the bass was very much leading the song musically. The bass won the music of last week's song, whereas it doesn't win the music, even though it's cracking. So I'm going to give it to Ritz, but it is a tough choice because again, the thing with the bass in this song is when I was listening to it, I was like, we've mentioned Stone Roses before. You could say it's got that kind of Sally Cinnamon, that kind of bass that you don't hear much of a lot. That's that kind of side. But again, when I was listening to it, I was like, I'm not sure I've heard anything like this before or since though as a bass line. Just that kind of do you know what I mean? Like Stone Roses is literally the only comparison I could draw. Like to be honest, there's influences in the song I can hear that I'll go through musically, but on the whole, as a song, I don't think I've ever heard anything like it before or since. To be honest with you, like when we say people like imitate them afterwards, like they inspired a lot, but there's a lot of imitation as well. This song is unimitatable. Because again, I was shocked to learn that there weren't any covers or samples of it used in anything. But then I was like, well, because it's just too perfect. What could you do with it? I don't know. Maybe the bass.
Why would you even try? And it's not just musically either, but lyric in terms of how he's singing. It's very much as much of the album is he's singing in his accent, and it would just seem. I mean, the cover you dug out of the girl singing Mardy Bum, like she managed to take it and make it her own thing. Because if you just imitate Alex's accent, it sounds ridiculous. But this
that was one of the better. Yeah.
How are you going to even touch this? Just how?
That were one of the best Arctic Monkeys scores I've ever heard, actually, because I'm usually quite, I'm really, as I said in that podcast, I'm usually like really, I can't hear even cover bands as we've discussed off the pod before with that. I can't always listen to because I love them so much. It's too precious to me to hear someone else doing it. That's how fucking mental I am. So insane I am. Like, but my girlfriend's the same. She's a massive Radiohead fan, like insanely, like she holds Tom York in the same regard that we hold Alex, so as many people do, but like she can't hear anyone covering them either because it just makes her feel sick because she's like, no, it can't be that way. And it's the same, like it's very rare you hear it. I mean, Tom Jones one were good. No, I'm joking, but it's a shame actually that when we did that podcast we weren't at the clip stage of ours yet because we could have played a bit of that, but maybe we'll play it in the wrap up for everyone. But
that'll be a nice treat for everybody, won't it?
But yeah, the bass. Great bass line. Again, do you remember a few weeks ago you were talking about that kind of sing along to the riff that you remember in a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah.
You don't get that, but when the sun goes down. But what I thought when I was listening to this was you don't get that a lot with bass. There's barely any songs where people sing the bass. But with this at gigs when they do the breakdown, the breakdown's kind of the best bass bit, isn't it? That when you really hear it, the doom 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 doom. You get that at gigs when everything stops and everyone goes do 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 do, and then everyone starts clapping and going do 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 do. Yeah. That you don't get that a lot with bass, so again, shows it to be a cracking bass line. Yeah, I love that bit. The build up.
The only one I can think of that does get a sing along is
Oh yeah, I'm
I
not
wanna
saying there's none.
I want to be adored by no, but I can only think of two. I can only think of
Oh.
this and I want to be adored by the Roses. That's the only two that I
The-
can think
the-
of that get like the bass being sung along to.
The Roses would be, yeah, and I think probably Sally Cinnamon does as well, right? Probably. I mean, I've never seen them live.
No,
so
that's more the guitar riff, but with I want to
Wait.
be adored. It's the bass line that comes in first.
I might be getting mixed up actually. Yeah, there is another bass line though, isn't there? The Roses that get sung. I'm sure that, but I can't think now. They've got.
It's sorry, she bangs the drums.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Yeah, I mean they did have to be fucking cracking.
God, I love the Stone Roses. Oh my god.
Yes, I mean, I love that album, and I love their time. I don't think I love Ian Brown now, but
no.
And I love Manny. I love Manny.
He's a guy.
Sorry, I mean, Chippy and Heaton Moore.
Yeah, he lives in. I've had a wee next to him in the Elizabethan in Heaton Moore. Yeah. I was very drunk. Money.
Wow. Bet he was happy with his knob in his hand.
In fact,
knob in his hand, a knob at his side.
Talking of money, here's the 40-second allotted tangent of the show. So on my other podcast not long ago, we had.
I think we've way moved past that.
Well, yeah, we had on the other podcast we had a DJ from BBC Radio 5 Live on, and he lives in Heaton Moor, like just over the road from Manny. And he said he took his kids trick or treating at Halloween, and Manny has his house all done up for Halloween, like decorates outside the house, the garden, and everything. And so he said his kids came back with these sweets. Like, oh, where'd you get them from? It's like, oh, Uncle Manny over the road. He's like, right, I'm gonna check them. I'm gonna check that they're actually sweets.
Yeah. We always got to double check. BBC Radio 5 Live DJ. What slots he got? I'm not talking about his wife. Sorry, I keep saying sexist stuff.
He's on Daytime's Chris Warburton. Yeah, we like that.
It does ring a bell, actually. I do recognise the name, actually. Yeah. Best DJ since sliced bread. Double joke for you there.
That's what said in my intro to the show.
Did you really? Great minds, or poorly written comedy. But to go back to this, the drum roll intro, fantastic. But this is why the Saturday Night Live video impressed me more, because fairly subdued Helders throughout. Like, some really good stuff is there, don't get me wrong. I think it was the same as last week, but there's just so much great stuff going on that it's not got that little Helders flourish to it. But on the Saturday Night Live one, fuck me, he looked like he was fucking hitting it then. He looked cool with his sunglasses on as well. Yeah, he was going for it there. So that kind of changed my opinion after I thought that. But I will say though that the drums for the solo are great. They're like really perfect for what it needs, and a little bit more with the old Helders flourishes that we're used to.
Fills and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, it's the mad fills, isn't it? That's what he does. It's these, like I said to you in the first episode that we did, that Pretty Visitors is my favorite, like one of my favorites, because the whole song's a fucking drum fill basically. But like this, those little fills he does are just like out of nowhere. Like, I think that were one of the things probably that he was trying to do, was just to get these, because you wouldn't normally you get someone just keep the beat until the song changes, but he just fucking throws some fills in whenever he wants. But yeah, lovely little cymbal taps at the end as well. I know we're stretching it a bit, but we could just do a little. The best cymbal tapper in Sheffield, as he's known. Please don't get in touch with me if you're a cymbal tapper in Sheffield.
That sounds like a euphemism. Sounds like a euphemism for homosexuals. It's like obvious. Dave next door. He's a bit of a cymbal tapper.
Something your granddad would say in the 70s. Yeah, he's a bit of a cymbal tapper. Dave, never. Yeah, of course he is.
He's got a wife. Well, Elton John had a wife.
Yeah, I always say that. Just get those people. They go, you don't think he's got a girlfriend? Elton John had a wife.
Oscar Wilde was married.
David Bowie fucked Mick Jagger. Or Mick Jagger fucked David Bowie. I reckon David Bowie's the top. What do you reckon? I reckon so. Jagger's quite feminine, isn't he?
I don't reckon any of it.
It was the 70s. Yeah, I think they did. Mick Jagger said they did anyway. So, and I for one believe him.
Oh,
But
well.
it was
well.
it was the 70s. Everyone was doing everything, weren't they? Buckaroo. The intro on guitar. The say that and then try and just carry on, not like normal. The intro on the guitar, though, I said that even though I said this song doesn't like, I can hear the influences there, but it does feel quite original to me. But the intro did make me feel a bit Strokesy actually when I was listening to it. Just a specific fast bit before it goes into the clean bit. Yeah, it reminded me of the Strokes, some of their stuff like Reptilia or something, just something in that world anyway. And I can guarantee that on the first listen, I didn't see the clean guitar coming. In the same way that when the sun goes down, I didn't see the fast guitar coming. I didn't see the clean guitar coming on this after that build. You think, oh, last song, drum roll, fast guitar is going to be like a big, and they love to do that with songs, don't they? Like, they do it with song titles a lot. Like, they really trolled everyone. Everyone assumed number one party anthem was going to be a really fast party rock tune, and then it was the first slow melodic tune on the album, which they definitely do that kind of thing on purpose, which is one of the reasons why I love them. Such trolls. But and I hate the word troll normally, but I like it here. But that clean guitar is so beautiful when I listen to it. I was listening to it and I was like, it's just such a nice clown. They have a way of just making beautiful melodies, which again is why I love Suck and See, the album and the track so much. But Mardy Bum, Riot Van, this. It's like, yeah, they just do that. And then obviously after this, Cornerstone, etc., etc. Yeah, I just think they do such nice melodies, like in songs, even like this, where it's got elements of fast and rock and that. It's just got this really nice, sweet melody in the middle of it, which I love.
Yeah, it's lovely, isn't it? And then the little, especially watching like live clips of it this week to try and find one to play at the top of the show. Just a little relationship between Alex and Jamie.
It's nice, isn't it? Particularly in live at the well, we'll discuss that later. But yeah,
it's like Pete and Carl before the crack and the heroin.
Well, this is one of the things as well that Arctic Monkeys have done so well, is to be able to keep that bond, because there's not a lot of bands that do over the years. It's very minimal amount of bands actually that do, especially big bands like that make it big. It's tough.
If you even look at bands, so if you look at like bands like Franz Ferdinand and the Killers that were like around before that, made it big before Arctics did, and they've had a number of like changes of members and stuff like that. Not necessarily through fallouts and stuff like that, but
no, just through life.
Have like one major lineup change in all that time, and that was after the first album. It's mad.
It's funny when you're not in that world, though. I always think when you hear like, oh yeah, he's not in the band anymore because he wants to, he misses his kids when he goes and all that. I always think, what? How? I was like, I'd give. Do you know what I'd give for that lifestyle? Jesus, but it's almost insulting. But no, I do get it. I understand it. Not everyone's as mental as me. But I keep saying, I kept saying romantic in previous episodes a lot, particularly the Right Wrong one. Obviously, this one fits the bill. It's in the title, obviously, but the clue was there. But this one does fit the bill even more, like so romantic. And we'll get into it in the lyrics, obviously. But do you know what? When I think I've said this before, and I don't know if it made sense then, and I don't know if it'll make sense now, but they somehow capture the essence of the lyrics in the sound, and they do it so well quite a lot. Like in this album, there was a couple of times when they did it. I can't think what song it was, but the lyrical content, the sound matches it in this weird way. Like this song should be about nostalgia, looking back at people that you grew up with and saying stuff like they're knobheads, but they're my knobheads, and you can't say, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like this song, the music makes, particularly the end, it fits that. And I don't know if that's because the rest of the band won't know that when he's, I don't know, I think he generally likes the lyrics first, doesn't he? Obviously, but on an acoustic or whatever, but dependent. I think sometimes, I don't think he might have changed his process now, but I remember on the Suck It and See behind the scenes video, he was talking about writing songs and the acoustic and then taking it to the band and they turn it into what it is. But yeah, does it make sense that the sound kind of matches what the song's about? Yeah.
This is what I was going to say as well, especially in terms of the clean guitars, like the bit with Alex and Jamie, and then even during the verses, that almost kind of foreshadows kind of the twist in the song, the whole you just can't get angry in the same way. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
the guitar, the guitars and the music almost mirrors that, like very, very early on before you even get to it. So it's kind of weird at first because you're thinking, well, he's slagging all these people off, but it sounds so nice. But then in the end, he's just like, oh, they're my dickheads.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's the way it flips it, doesn't it? And strap yourself in, people, because I've just realised it's already been an hour. So if we manage to talk for an hour and 20 about vampires, then strap yourself in. but yeah, I mean, we haven't even got to the solo. What can you say? What an amazing set of riffs! Like, it's emotional, it's catchy, it's beautiful, it's romantic. It feels like an ending. That's what always amazes me about it. It feels like an ending. Like, you know, people say like the car sounds like a film, like quite filmic, cinematic. This sounds like the end of a film to me. Like the outro, like from the solo onwards, the breakdown solo feels like the outro to a film, which it's like a chapter closing, which is amazing because obviously it is a chapter closing. And that's why it amazes me that the solo in particular doesn't get used in stuff like films and stuff more, because it is the perfect end to something, isn't it? Like, when I was listening to it, the more I listened to it, I was like, oh, well, yeah, this feels like an ending to something. And I guess that's why, and more on this later, but Iowadi and the band captured it in the way they did in Live at the Apollo, very much in a filmic end of the film, end of a chapter kind of way. With the little clips
end of the tour as well, because that was the final night of that tour as well, Live at the Apollo, wasn't it? Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, and also they didn't know this, but it works. The fact that they did that in Live at the Apollo works in a weird way, not only for that, but it works perfectly in a narrative and history of the band way, because after that gig, they were never quite the same band ever again, because they went off to Home in the desert, and so it's almost like that is the end of the band as people knew them then, which is, they wouldn't known that then. You know, they probably already knew they were going to go to Josh Homme in the desert at that point and stuff, but like, they didn't know how they were going to change or what was going to happen, did they? So yeah, crazy, really. The end, it did remind me of an end. It was, you know, it did like make me think of when I was listening to it the other day. So we've mentioned Inglourious Bastards on this pod before in the car, I think, but I always think like an end. When I was listening to this, it made me think of the end of that, where it's kind of very meta, because he cuts the Nazi symbol into that, and Brad Pitt says, "I think this is my masterpiece," which is like obviously meta, like Tarantino saying that, but it just, I don't know why it reminded me of that kind of thing. This song, like, after it ended, in my head I heard Brad Pitt going, "I think this is my masterpiece," because I was like, this song is a masterpiece. So, you know, yeah.
Oh, God. Are you getting emotional yet? Should we play some emotional?
I think I just did for about 7. Yeah, you missed your chance to.
Yeah. I'll just do it now. Then we've prepared the emotional music. We might as well do it. We're just going to keep this. We're just going to keep this in the studio thing as well, and use it at some point in the future.
No, yeah, you know what I meant though. I should have been more specified. What we need to do is to try and get that as an audio recording in place. So even if I don't know it's coming, if I'm rambling emotionally or whatever, you can just press it, and suddenly in the background it'll just be like.
That would have been better. That would have been better. Yeah. I've let myself down. Right, I'm going to excuse myself from the podcast, and you can find.
What's the golden rule? Never let down your public. Never let down your public.
Sorry, Daddy.
For the first time, that was weird. For the first time ever, I was when I was listening to it yesterday, though, for like the millionth time this week, as we do, and I did actually suddenly hear the Strokes in the solo, which I'd never done before. Just the way that the guitars work separately but together, so there's like doing different things, but it kind of culminates. It reminded me of that Strokes thing where they're all playing the guitar in these different ways, and it's like making this sort of fast-paced sound. But I heard a bit of Strokes in the solo, which I'd never had happen to me before. It just suddenly came into my head when I was listening to it yesterday, which is
definitely there,
key benefits of listening to it to death. But like, incredible music, incredible solo, perfect. Do you want to say anything else on the music before we move on?
Couldn't possibly, because then I'll be getting emotional as well. And
it's just incredible, isn't it?
There's
just nothing you can.
Phenomenal. what a song! Just what a piece of music. And we've not even gotten to the lyrics yet. It's just,
Yeah,
it's killing
I
me,
mean,
killing me.
to move into the lyrics, then, like, just again, like what can you
It's
say?
like Breaking Bad. This song, I want to experience it for the first time again.
Oh God! Oh, listen to it repeatedly has kind of given it a different angle as well. But as someone from a northern council estate myself, working class rough area, when I first heard this, I remember it meaning so much because as someone myself with aspirations and different music tastes and different clothes, it can be hard not to start getting the violins out, but it can be hard to grow up on there. So, like, when you're different, everyone's a chav and you're going around in jeans and everyone's calling you a mosher, even though, that's not actually quite what I am. I'm just wearing jeans. So, but yeah, they're not tracky. So to hear that at 15 or whatever, I remember it blew me away in every way because it was just so completely relatable. Like, every single line was just mind blowing because it was like witty, clever, accurate, relatable, beautiful at times. I just remember it meant a lot. And now as well, listening back, but the song's very nostalgic. But I remember the song. This will sound weird, but I remember the song feeling nostalgic even then. Like,
it really did.
you know what I mean? Yeah. It made me think about, like, not that I was nostalgic for those people or whatever. I still lived there at the time, but I don't know. It just made me nostalgic about, because there is that. Because like Alex is nostalgic at that point in his life, maybe when he wrote the song, because his life's about to change in a big way. Not even like necessarily the band, just the way that your life changes at that age. If you like think about like 19, 20 or whatever, you might have a bit of nostalgia for being young, no responsibilities, being around certain people and stuff. That's all about to end, isn't it? Around that age,
It'd have been even younger as well. It'd have been like just thinking about like university and stuff like that, because it's on Boardwalk, isn't it? So it would have been
True.
younger and thinking about, so even more of a change that is.
Very true, yeah.
Yeah.
I think you can hear that quite a lot, but like, before you even dig into it, which is incredible. I mean, nobody was writing lyrics this good then. Like, I don't know if I've ever heard. I don't actually know if I've heard lyrics this good, like, since or before from other people. I've obviously heard really good lyrics from Alex, but like, and that's why actually I don't know if we talked about it in this pod, but Bob Dylan coming out and sort of saying his like of Alex, I think was very important to me, because that's quite special, isn't it? Because a lot of people, when you say, because they kind of don't like Arctic Monkeys or whatever, you kind of say, oh yeah, Alex Turner, lyrical genius, generational. Like, they go like, all right, yeah, you like him, and it's like, well, no, Bob Dylan said it now, so fuck you. If Bob Dylan says it,
Bob Dylan.
yeah, but do you think do you think Bob Dylan's a great songwriter? Yeah, he's pretty good actually. Yeah, well, like, yeah.
I think he'd know.
Yeah, I think I'd probably consider being called a lyrical genius by Bob Dylan. Generally considered good news, isn't it? But yeah, so I think that's quite important. But I always think, like, imagine if the band sort of fizzled out after Favourite Worst Nightmare, like so many bands at the time did, if they hadn't have done what they did, and Alex had sort of switched into songwriting for other people. Imagine if that was like the career, like, because people do that, people from Melbourne are in Arctics and session musicians. So, but like, he went to write lyrics because of his talent writing songs. He had these, he was in this big band, didn't go past these two phenomenal albums, but now he writes songs. Imagine like how many shite pop songs by big artists there'd be, but with amazing lyrics. Like, everyone's always like, Ed Sheeran, he's great at songwriting. He goes in and he does like Bieber's album and stuff. But like, for me, that doesn't even compare to, like, I got nothing against Ed Sheeran or anything like that, but like, the songs he writes have got nothing on Alex's talent lyrically. In any way. So if Alex was going in writing tunes with people, like, can you imagine? I mean, he kind of did with Alexandre Savior, and it's funny actually. People won't know this, but I found Alexandre Savior organically, not knowing that Alex had produced the album, and I was listening to it and I fell in love with it. And for ages I was like, God, this woman's great. And then I found out that she was, and I was like, oh, that's why. Like, even when I didn't know that my life was fucking revolving around Alex, he found me. It's insane.
I'll have a break from Alex for a bit.
Yeah, well, I guess that's a Spotify algorithm for you, isn't it? I should have known, really. But because I remember that one, I even remember thinking the song, my favorite song by her, Girly, And I'm thinking, when I found out, I was like, of course, that sounds like fucking Alex. He's written those. That sounds exactly like a song on Suck It and See. Like that, like she gets where water can't and stuff. That's such an Alex line. How did I not even realize? But yeah, mental. But yeah, I just don't think he gets the credit outside this world of people that like him, but in the mainstream, let's say. So yeah, you'll get higher praise than Bob Dylan though. So there you go. I don't even like Bob Dylan stuff really. It's not my cup of tea, really. But I know he's an incredible songwriter. Yeah, I know he's an American. He's an amazing poet, lyricist, and all that. So good enough for me. I'm sure Alex would chuckle that. Bob Dylan.
I see him more as a poet because I prefer seeing his stuff written down to hearing him perform it, which sounds weird.
The opposite of how you see Shakespeare.
Yeah. Exactly, all comes together.
But I imagine it's quite a compliment to get as a musician, isn't it? Bob Dylan saying that he makes a point of seeing you because of your lyrical talent. Yeah. But yeah,
do you reckon Bob Dylan was thinking of this song when he was doing it, or do you think he's more like Tranquility Base in the car? What do you reckon Dylan's favourite AM album is?
I actually think maybe that stuff, but I actually think, thinking of what I know about Bob Dylan and his style of songwriting, I think Suck It and See would have been an album that he would particularly resonate with because it's these melodic-y tunes, not folk, but I think Cornerstone would be a favourite of his, definitely as well. I know it's on Humbug, but I think that would be that's a very Bob Dylan-y song. But I think also, what I always thought sounded like a Bob Dylan song on Submarine. You Can't Get Away from the Wind. Sounds like a Bob Dylan song, very much so.
On the Wind, yeah, it does. It really does, yeah.
So we'll discuss that when we cover it on our Patreon. Sorry, just keep plugging the Patreon now, don't we? But I don't think we plugged it for about 40 minutes, so that's all right.
No,
need a Patreon alarm. Yeah, it does need it. No, it's been a success, and if you want to jump on it as well, yeah, we're definitely going to do a submarine songs pod and a submarine film pod. So yeah, I always thought that sounded Dylan-esque, so I reckon Suck It and See would be one he'd listen to, and like Pile Driver Waltz, he'd love that lyrically. Bob Dylan, I can tell you that now. Etched a tear from on the stopwatch on the back of a raindrop. That's Bob Dylan would fucking be in over that. He'd be loving it.
Yeah. Going back to that session that he did on American radio.
Ruined a nice moment then, didn't I? We had a nice chat about Bob Dylan, and I had to ruin it.
Yeah, and you just ruined it. Yeah.
I always ruin it by coming. Sorry. Go and carry on.
Zoo animal.
I always ruin it with ejaculation.
That's
named my memoir.
Vicky, oh God, you're getting plenty of memoir names tonight. We have to make a list of all these. That's that session that he did on the American radio station where the guy's like really nice and really, really loves him and stuff. And when he does Reckless Serenade,
as we discussed on Patreon, if you
it's his birthday special, the first episode to release exclusively to patrons. Get on it. Find the link in our episode description. We were wrong. Reckless Serenade sounded like an old doo-wop song, which I think would also fit in with what Dylan likes.
And he compares him to Sam Cooke as well. Which again, I think even Alex reacts to that in a kind of, that's a genuinely nice, great compliment to get, because he kind of goes, he looks, kind of goes, oh, thanks, dude. Good, cheers, dude. But yeah, to get back on the track, the truth that they can't see, I remember resonating with me a lot when I first heard it, because it's like, yes, that's how I feel about all these people I'm surrounded by. There is more to life. You can achieve things and do things, and I'm not gay because I wear jeans and not trackies and stuff like, you know what I mean? And I do. Yes, I like to read. I'm sorry, I like to read. I'm sorry that you hate me for that. So that kind of the truth that they can't see always really resonated with me, is like when you have that feeling of like frustration of being in an area and wanting to get out of it, then the people around you, not all of them. I'm not, just some, but that's a great line, I thought, to sum that up. When you're from an area like that, it's the truth that they can't see. The way of describing people by the shoes, again, like he did with Top Shot Princess or Rockstar 2, perfectly sums up the fashion of a council estate at the time. Well, I think he lived in a slightly more forgiving area, because again, if I wore Converse on my council estate, I would have just got, well, I did get abuse. So I think he was in a more forgiving area if people could hang around with people that were wearing classic Reeboks.
Knickered was the only way to have your Converse. I remember when I got my first pair of white Converse, I bought them on a Friday, I was like, right, we need to go out clubbing tonight. And Mum's like, you're not wearing them, are you? You can't wear your new white Converse to go out clubbing. I was like, I need to. They need to be knackered. And then came
I'll tell you what.
back the next morning to shook
Yeah,
her
eat
head
'em up.
like,
Got to be dirty. I remember that actually. I'm sure I was there, or something. I remember something like that. You told me that before, but it just stirred a memory in the back of my brain. But it is a thing. I did think though about it. I thought it was funny that because obviously Alex is regarded as a working class hero. When I was thinking about the lyrics, I was like, both his parents were teachers, so he was probably middle class at best.
Yeah.
he was in a working class area, so it's funny that he kind of was a working class hero lyricist in the end. But yeah, they weren't struggling, were they? Not that you have to struggle to be working class, but it helps. It definitely helps. Yeah, just that they're using those shoes, using fashion to describe a sign of the time. He kind of says, like you said before, there isn't any romance at that point, but then he kind of has that switch at the end, that romanticism, nostalgia. That's why I couldn't do a gag at the end of the last pod, when I normally introduce the song, because it just felt like too much of a nice romantic loop back because of how the song makes me feel, to do a joke about it. But actually, you know what? Speaking of working class, there is this weird romanticism about when you're from a working class area. There is this weird romanticism of the area, like this working. It's a culture in England, particularly, that there's this romantic notion of being from a council poor area, like that maybe in reality isn't really there, but isn't there? Do you know what I mean? There's just something about, I don't know whether that's films that have done that or whether it's just because it's kind of like, well, everyone at least is friendly and your neighbor, which ain't the case, believe me, but like, and everyone's like you're all in it together, and it's great British resilience and working class heroes and the miners.
Exactly
I think that
Up the miners, but they can have a wash first, the dirty bastards.
Yeah, and I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, like me, you're from
different generation.
You're from Stockport, aren't you? So we're both from Stockport, and I've always, even through like 16 years of pretty much living in Manchester. I mean, back in Stockport now, but 16 years of living in Manchester. And if people slagged off Stockport, even though I moved away because it was shit, people slagged it off. I'd be like, no. It's fucking great, all right. And now it is great. But for 16 years, I've been like defending it.
Well, we've kind of actually switched because I think growing up, I obviously was from like a council estate. It was a bit rougher, whereas your estate that you lived on was working class, but wasn't a council estate, was it? There, but now, like, yeah, you've become a kind of Stockport hero, whereas I've like kind of distanced myself from it, not purposefully in any sort of way, but I did live in the center of Stockport when it was shit. Like, so I'm actually annoyed that people keep telling me that. That's why I don't want to go, because I'll be so annoyed, because I lived right near the bit where it's good. Like, I lived on that hill near the McDonald's and like, so I just have to go down that hill and I'm there where everyone keeps telling me, oh, it's amazing now, loads of bars have popped up, and I'm furious because I lived there for my whole life, and the minute I move away a bit to an area where I wanted to live, where there's bars and stuff, now there's bars there. It's infuriating. It's absolutely infuriating. But yeah, I couldn't have got when I was there. It was only a few years ago. It was only 4 years ago.
I know. And as soon as you moved out, they were like, right, we'll get it started in a cute new place.
Better class of people now.
Did I just say cute new places keep popping up? I think I did.
You got a couple in recently. It's good because it's normally just me trying to get them in.
It's not doing that. Rude not to.
but yeah, but I would like to go. I will go and at some point with you and check it out. As furious as it'll make me.
Have a good old night out.
The only line in this that dates it is actually a line that was really perfect at the time, which is, so over there, there's broken bones, there's only music, so that there's new ringtones, which was perfect at the time because it'll be lost on younger people now, perhaps. But at the time, it hit me in the face, that line, because I'd surrounded by people who didn't really have an interest in music and would just play this like shit beats through their phones on the back of buses and stuff. And it did really feel like at the time for people, certain people, again, there's boys in bands. though as well. It did feel like for them that music was just something that you'd want as a shit ringtone on your phone. So that line were perfect. But now, in the pantheon of time, like much like View from the Afternoon lyrical content about mobile phones, it's like you wouldn't have I think if you heard that now and you didn't know, you'd be like, what's a ringtone? Oh, you'd know what a ringtone is. Oh, would you? Are they called ringtones? They're just called... Yeah, they're called ringtones, but you'd be like, why is he equating that to music? Like, I don't understand.
I mean, I've not had I've not had the ringer on my phone for like 10 years. I just have it on vibrate, and I have done for like best part of a decade.
I do that. It's like when I realized someone said to me once that because I missed a message or something because I have it on do not. As soon as I go to bed, I put it on do not disturb, and until I get up. And someone said to me, that's the most selfish thing anyone can ever do. Anything could happen in that like 10 hours. And I was like, you know what, you're kind of right, because someone could be dying. Yeah, it's because I don't like people. That's why. I don't care what your issue is. I'll find out. If you died, I'll find out.
It'll be on the news.
I don't need waking up at 3 a.m. if you died. You'll still be dead at 8 a.m. Don't worry about it. For anyone. And if you're not still dead at 8 a.m., then it didn't matter anyway, did it? But for anyone listening that doesn't know ringtone and hasn't bothered to ever wonder what that line's about, it's sort of like what we'd call like a MIDI version now of songs. You know, when people go on YouTube, it's funny because people go on YouTube and go, the MIDI version of this song, but like that were just a big phenomenon, weren't it, in the early 90s here? And I hate saying that, it feels wrong, but it was. I hate saying noughties as well. I hate using that vernacular.
Noughties is horrible.
It doesn't feel right, does it? It feels like people trying to make it like the 90s, but it weren't as good.
It never will be again.
As well, the boys in bands pool cues line just summed up again the area and things that you know. You have anything to say on that bit?
Yeah, just because you have a couple.
Oh, any bit.
He thinks it's all right to act like a dickhead. That's again that council estate kind of lower class thing. It's interesting going back to the class thing. There's this element of, well, I mean, Pulp wrote a song about it, probably like a contender for my favorite song of all time, "Common People," which is about like middle class and upper class people like pretending to be poor because you think that poor's cool, because off the back of like Oasis and stuff, like this became the thing. Like people wanted to like pretend to be working class and stuff like that. It's just so weird, and we see elements of it now, like politically over here as well. And it really, really annoys me. I'm getting annoyed now. I was emotional, now I'm annoyed.
Usually the way. That's how most of my relationships go. Emotional, then annoyed. But it brings to mind certain individuals that I knew growing up as well, and also people I see out now, just random people that you still see out now, like in bars and stuff. Like it's applicable to many and undesirable. I'd say that chat, like the type. A lot of them are Arctic Monkeys gigs as well, usually like early ones anyway. Yeah, that's just another spot on line there from.
It's the type of people you'd see at like Oasis gigs, and then obviously Oasis split up, and the next big gig after that was the Stone Roses reunion thing, and it was just full of people. Like before the Roses had even come on, for like I think I went on the second night, and before Stone Roses had even come on stage, there was people getting carried out because they were just so fucked. Like it's just you've waited like 20 years to see this band, and that's what that'll be me in June.
Yeah, well, I remember being at an Arctic gig once, and there's people in front of me doing Keys of Coat, like just stood right in front of me, which I'm not offended by, or like, if you're gonna go do it, at least do it privately. Do you know what I mean? Hide your shame at the gig. But yeah, no, it's just a bit distasteful, isn't it? Do you remember? Was it at the gig with you? Was it at the cricket club when? It might not have been, but I was at an Arctic Monkeys gig once, and somebody shit in a plastic cup. I think it were the cricket club. They shit in a plastic cup, and they threw it back. And some guy was wearing a white t-shirt, and it just went poof into his t-shirt and just splattered all over him. It might not have been cricket club. It might have been at Leeds Festival. It sounds like a Leeds Festival event more than a cricket club one, actually. But it was horrendous. Yeah. It was horrendous. Yeah, but those type of people. Yeah, they those type of people that listen to this song and don't realize that it's about them. You know what I mean? but yeah, his little reflection back before the end is kind of like, for me, him changing his mind a little bit, like you said. You know, and that thing we kept referencing throughout the album where he'll be singing about slagging someone off, but then at the end he'll kind of put himself in it and go, well, I'm just as bad or whatever. He does it here as well in the way that he's looking back and going, like, not saying I'm as bad, but I'll give him a pass. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's that kind of reflection, is it? Ever since last week as well with John Cooper Clarke, I can just hear it more than ever now. Ever since the little chat we had last week, because in this I was really like, I can imagine this being read as a John Cooper Clarke poem. You know, like there's just because he's had a couple of cans, he thinks it's all right to act like a dickhead. I can imagine him doing that kind of line. Do you know what I mean? That were a good impression of John Cooper Clarke, actually. but not that it's hard. I'm halfway. I am Mank already, so it's not hard, really, is it? I didn't have to do much. But then, or Stockfordian.
Stockfordian, yeah.
Yeah, I don't want you to tell me off. You know what, and it's a very important distinction. Now that you're the mascot for Stockport. But these, I remember you was a very cynical, jaded person about from where you were from when I last knew you. So it's quite a turnaround.
Yeah.
But these, I don't know. It's that line. So you just said it again, but that kind of like these guys can be dicks, but I've known them so long. And, maybe, I don't know, the harmless really, or just, is he saying like the harmless really, or just reacting to him like that line? I don't know how to sometimes take it when he says that, like, they're friends of mine. I've known him such a long time. They might overstep the line, but you can't just get angry in the same way. Is that you can't get angry in the same way? Is he saying like you can't react to them? Like if they're angry, you can't fight back, or is he saying like you can't get angry in the same way because I love them too much? I've always tried to figure out what or maybe it's both.
I think it's the first. I think it's putting.
I lean towards the first.
Where you've had someone knocking around with you who's just absolutely terrible. And just,
yeah. Used to be me. No, I'm joking. Oh no. I was just
a
sex pest. I was a sex pest at best, but I was harmless, really.
I didn't appreciate it. I was trying to sleep.
You never let me. That's why I've come roaring back now. You're single, but is that? But the I just don't know. Yeah, I lean towards that assessment as well of it. Like, but there is a little part of me because of the song being so romantic and nostalgic that kind of makes me want to think he's saying I can't react angrily because you mean mates, so I can't. Maybe yeah. But what adds romance to it? The line, we'll tell them all tonight. Do you remember in Riot Van when I had my little theory that he's speaking to a lover, or that thought that I felt he was speaking to a lover when he says we won't get caught, me and you, or whatever he says. And I always thought that you had never thought that before, but I said I'd always applied it to a lover or something like that, which I think you think more and more as time goes on. But I get that here as well. There's a little romantic, like not that he's necessarily speaking to a lover, but just that same feel about that, about that bit. I think it channels those bits. Like I think the bit in Riot Van actually channels a bit of like, I think we're alone now. There doesn't seem to be anyone around. Which I never know, is that a romantic or is that a bit rapey? I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, I've never looked at it that way before, but now I feel sick.
That's what I do. But you, I just as my kind of last point in lyrics, and you probably got some more points, but I used to love it live. He used to change it to you won't get me to, not anywhere, don't even dare. I always used to love that. I used to love that. That was one of my favorite changes that he's ever done. Great moment.
Of all the changes, that's really up there, isn't it?
Definitely. Do you have any more points on this? What is a phenomenal? I know Alex doesn't want to call it a poet, but I'm calling it a poem. What does he know?
We'll get onto it when we do Ultra Cheese in about 50 years. But over there, there's friends of mine. What can I say? I've known them for a long time. That chimes for me with the still got pictures of friends on the wall. Suppose we aren't really friends anymore. That's it almost feels sometimes like Ultra Cheese is like a more grown-up, reflective version of this song. What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, I can't remember whether you've mentioned this to me before or whether I had this organic
yeah.
thought as well. You have, right? Okay, because I was just thinking, I'm sure I thought that, but you've said it. Yeah. Yes, I would agree that there's this very similar tone musically and also lyrically to them, and I would say there's definitely a similar, not just the mention of friends, but yeah, that the way he mentions friends, I guess, is what you're getting at. That the lines are kind of similar in that kind of
Yeah.
You could almost take it as the anti, couldn't you? They're here, he's saying, they're friends of mine, and forgive them. But in that, maybe even more cynically, is like, were they ever friends at all? Though I suppose is one way you could take it. But yeah, I think there's a link between them, definitely lyrically. And I think there's a link between this and
I should have had as a hot take, really.
Well, no, that's it. I think there is I think it's a good assessment. Yeah, I think there's a similar, somewhat similar. There's nothing similar that I could pinpoint to the music, but there's a similar something there that you've got onto that I'm vibing as well. So yes, I wholeheartedly agree. It's just, yeah. I mean, what a tune, and it's funny because Ultra Cheese is like one of my favorites as well. So it's quite funny that you would bring that up. But
same, yeah.
I mean, I could talk about it for another hour probably, but it'd just be me going, what a song. So I can't get me wrong, but yeah, it's incredible. So we should probably move on to our favorite lyric, shouldn't we?
Is it favorite lyric first, or is it favorite musical moment first? Which one do we normally do first?
Well, in my notes, is it really? Because I normally have it in the order. I never change the titles in my notes. I just change the notes. So, and favorite lyric is first. But no, do favorite musical moment. Go on, why not? If we're wrong and we mixed it up.
Yeah, that's what
it doesn't really matter, does it?
We normally do the music and then the lyrics. So I always thought this was the way we did it here.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe. Now I don't know.
Now
I'm not sure.
It doesn't really matter, does it? Don't really matter, does it? No one's gonna, unless we get hate mail. Like, you changed it round, it ruined the whole episode for me.
I mean, if you can't mix it up for what we've established is their best closer, then when can you mix it up?
Exactly that. Exactly.
So what did we say we're doing first?
Favorite musical moment, go on.
Mad sounds in your ears, they make you get up and dance, they make you get up.
You're probably right, to be fair. I just I must have got mixed up in my notes or something, my mistake. But special shout out to the bass, obviously, but it's got to be the solo outro on it. I mean, what else could it be?
It is, yeah. I was tempted to go for the bass for the second week in a row, but I thought it's got you can't
dismiss it.
It's phenomenal. Yeah.
It's incredible. It still might be my favorite solo they've ever done. Might be my favorite outro they've ever done. I don't know. I think it might be. Yeah. 505 had something to say about that probably in terms of a solo, but that were done by Miles, so can we even count it? I guess he's the fifth monkey.
Thing is, we're never gonna find out either, because as weirdos on Radio X Facebook posts are fond of telling us, they finished after the first album. That was it. So we're never.
Yeah. So
this has been it.
Yeah, we're not gonna. We're just gonna cover the first one because it's all that matters, apparently. But yeah, it has to be. I think it probably is my favorite outro and solo they've done so far. Actually, that's subject to change, but I
will admit 505 is creeping. Not 505. 4 out of 5 is creeping up there for me. The ending.
That is a good outro. Yeah.
But it's still not in the same ballpark as this. It's a very different beast.
And Ultra Cheese. You mentioned Ultra Cheese. It's got a good outro and solo, but yeah, but not pipping this, obviously. That would be insane. But yeah, this is probably the best. But what else could we say? Like, we couldn't pick another part of the song, could we? Even though there are really good parts, you couldn't pick another.
What else do you go with it?
What would be your favorite lyric then?
Too busy with the mind on clever lines.
We've already discussed that.
Go on then. I reckon they might be the same.
There's only music, so there's new ringtones.
Oh no, mine's different. But so yes, why? Just because of the reasons we've already stated, or
yeah, it's just so of its time and just completely nails kind of where music fit into pop
Mm.
culture at that time until this album came around, I think.
Yeah, really, and really clever as well, and yeah,
In an album that's filled with like clever, on point lyrics, that's like right up there for me.
like just kind of just popped in my head, but unbeknownst to Alex at the time when he wrote it, but ironic because that was how music was kind of feeling at the time, but they were the guitar band that kind of saved guitar bands, like at that point anyway, in England. Not obviously the Strokes and stuff had happened, and Libertines had gone, but they were the band that came in roaring as a guitar band and went mainstream and everything. They're number ones and stuff. So yeah, irony, Alex. Music weren't just for a ringtone when you came along. That's for sure. Anyway, yeah. Although I'm sure people did have like. That's the thing. Well, mine. I like your polo top, by the way. Just want to say that there. Is it Fred Perry?
I got it for Crimblemas. No, it's not Fred Perry. I don't know where it's from.
Was it? I thought I saw a Fred Perry logo on there.
No, it's just some generic Matalan or Primark. I don't know, but I'm going to be wearing it. I'm going to be wearing it on my date on Saturday night. Yeah.
Oh. Well,
ladies.
Oh, woo! Sign up to the Patreon if you want to see this action. You get his crotch and his chest tonight. That's what you've all been buying for.
Getting
I think, based off what I've seen from the crotch, the chest, and the polo top, I think this date's going to go quite well. That's my assessment of it.
You never know,
tune in next week to find out what happened. But tune in for bigger boys, but appropriately, maybe. For bigger boys and stolen sweethearts to find out how the date went. I've ruined what next week's song is, but oh well, they know. But my favorite lyric is don't get me wrong though, there's boys in bands and kids who like to scrap with pool cues in their hands, and just because he's had a couple of cans, he thinks it's all right to act like a dickhead. I think again the whole Cooper Cart thing, the assessment of the area where I grew up, and and the people, perfect, absolutely perfect. But
spot on,
perfect. Alex, you did a good job. You're gonna make it, kid. But I do have a hot take.
Excellent.
She flicks a red hot revelation off the tip of her tongue.
Well, as a sign of continuity and a sign of solidarity with you, you made a rather embarrassing statement on the first episode, on the first album of this track, View from the Afternoon, which was that was the best opener to an album ever, and quickly got disproved by that. So in solidarity with you, I'm going to make another foolish statement on the last track of this album, which is this the best closing song to an album ever?
It's done.
And it is that you just said it is. You're just agreeing. I'm going to list a couple that I found just off the top of my head. Well, not off the top of my head, the couple that I found. All Apologies by Nirvana. A Day in Their Life by the Beatles. Purple Rain by Prince. Street Spirit Fade Out by Radiohead. Voodoo Child by Jimi Hendrix. You could say Champagne Supernova by Oasis if you were so inclined.
And you could also say I Am the Resurrection by the Stone Roses.
And I'm sure there's many, many others that you could say, and people are probably laughing. But
I prefer this. I prefer this to all of them, though. I do.
I do as well. I think it is the best, particularly the outro of the song is the best end to an album maybe I've ever heard. I genuinely think that, and none of the ones that when you said the View from the Afternoon one, when I started looking at opening songs, I thought, it's not the best opening song, but I didn't read any that made me go, nope, it's not. Definitely that knocks it off its perch. Like, do you know what I mean? So I think it's up there. Yeah, I think it's there. But I was just doing it as a act, stand with you, in the foolish statement marks at the beginning and the end.
Yeah, the rest by flying.
But mine actually might stand, so it was an easier sacrifice. But I took a bullet for you, but it didn't hit any of my internal organs. It just passed straight through. No. So but I still took the bullet.
You took a bullet, and it turned out just to be one of them foam like training bullets.
Nerds, not nerds. Nerves.
Anyway.
Nerf. But no, I think it is potentially, particularly the end, like especially with that little clean bit at the end, and that it's such, like I said before, cinematic almost. And it's just, and I think like people would obviously, I think 505, the only other song that I thought, was 505 as an ending to a song and that's another Arctic song. So there you go. But if anyone has any, send them in. Let us know. Tweet at us and all that stuff. But I would also just like to mention that in this song, because I forgot, not even though I named it as my favorite lyric, I still don't even think that's the best use of the word dickhead that he's ever used. Even though I named it as my favorite lyric, that's the best use of dickhead anyone's ever used in the history of time.
It really is.
So yeah, what came first, chicken or the dickhead? So not dick, that line being my favorite lyric isn't even the best use of dickhead that Alex has done. But yeah, I love that. Obviously, we'll discuss that one when we get to it. But yeah, no. Look, everyone, it's the end of the album. We're moving on to the B-side section, and I hope that we did the song justice because it's a very special song, and we've talked for ages. So, what more could we say, really? But yeah, absolutely phenomenal.
Holds as this whole album does. I think it holds a very special place both in our hearts and a lot of people's hearts, and we really, really hope we've done it justice. Because all the episodes I don't want to fuck up is this one.
And as we delve into the tune in, obviously when we do the wrap up, we'll talk about it more. But it has this listening to this again has made it even more special than it was before.
Yeah,
I'd say
definitely has. We really hope you've enjoyed it. So that just about concludes. Not only does it conclude our look back at track 13 of the album, but it concludes the album. Don't forget, if you've enjoyed it, go in the episode description on your podcast player of choice, and you can find all our links there, including a link to our Patreon, where you'll get so much bonus content. You get about 45 minutes to an hour of bonus stuff. You get pre-show and post-show chat. You get extra stuff that we edit out of the audio version to keep it at a listenable length. So get involved.
And there's an Alex and there's an Alex B Day pod on there, which is about an hour and 40 or something. And you also you'll get Last Shadow Puppet ones, which will be similar length. And yeah, so there's content coming out of our asses, and if you pay, it could be coming out of yours.
Yes, indeed. And there's going to be content above what there's going to be even more content than we've stated on the Patreon, because we've had loads of ideas for little bonus episodes that we're going to do. So they'll be coming. So you'll be getting more than expected for your money, and all the money goes into helping us do this, because this shit ain't cheap, bitches.
More bang. I don't know why my default voice is always that of a 1940s Hollywood producer.
I have no idea, mate. I think we really need a break, but we're not getting one, are we? We're back next week. And what are we back with?
Well, I already revealed it, but next week is a track I wish I'd heard before I got dumped on a school trip to France in 2005 by a girl I'd started dating at the beginning of the trip a mere 4 days earlier. If I had heard the song then, I might have understood that this shit happens, and I wouldn't have sat heartbroken on the 6-hour coach journey listening on repeat to Maroon 5's new release, She Will Be Loved. I don't mind spending every day out on your corner in the pouring rain. I was literally sobbing. Yes, it's our first B-side, complete with schoolgirls, schoolboys, crushes, cavorts, heartbreak, hebephiles, juveniles, and giants. It's bigger boys and stolen sweethearts.
I can't. You know, just when you thought it was hitting maximum Peter, it's about to Peter up again. And fucking, this is like, a special one as well, isn't it? I'm so glad that I managed to get hebephiles into a poem gag. So I'm delighted with that.
And it's accurate to the song as well. Accurate to the song as well.
We're starting our run of whatever people say, and that's what I'm not B-sides from the singles that were released, which is very, very exciting.
It's great.
Excellent. Right.
Well,
we've got a special. We've done it. People said it couldn't be done, and it hasn't. Looks like we made it. We are. So we'll be back next week, or if you're subscribed to Patreon, you'll get this 24 hours early. We forgot to list that in the list of benefits, but
there's so many even we forget.
Yeah, think about that.
I'm thinking on.
In my block, which you're going to knock off. We've got a little special clip to play you out. If you listen to the audio, you'll enjoy this clip. But for the full amazing video version, you'll get to see some great stuff in this clip. So we're going to play you out with the ending of A Certain Romance from the Live at the Apollo DVD release because we think it's beautiful, don't we? We found it the other night and
The best
forgot
performance of it
just
ever,
how good it was. Yeah,
I'd say.
yeah, and some fantastic cinematography from and editing from Mr. Oyamadi as well.
Oh
Really
yeah,
good.
beautiful. What an idea.
And
Yeah.
soon we'll be doing a watch along of that as well, where we'll be commenting on that as we watch it. So sign up to the
One last
Patreon
plug
for
for the
that.
Patreon.
Yeah, I can get one more in, didn't I?
Guys, the Patreon podcast.
Yeah, speaking of the Patreon, well, we'll see you in a minute because we'll have a little post-show chat, and we'll see you in a
Debrief.
second. But in the debrief, but in the meantime, say goodbye to the nice people, Dan.
Goodbye.
Bye.
But over there, there's friends of mine. What can I say? I've known them for a long, long time. And they might overstep the line, but you just cannot get angry in the same way. No, not in the same way. Said not in the same way. Oh no, oh no, no. Could you stand a couple more?
Don't Believe the Hype is hosted and produced weekly by Nick Lee and Dan Holt. The music used in the titles is royalty-free music courtesy of Les FM. Don't forget to subscribe on your podcast player of choice to be notified every Wednesday when a new episode is released. And if you want to help us out further, be sure to like and review to help make us more visible to like-minded souls. We will see you next week with more of the same.